What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. My name is Randy Bruce, and today it is a blast from the past. We have not been on a podcast together for a hot minute, but it is the OGs. I'm talking before we had a team of 9 people, before we had, thousands of fans. I'm talking way even before Abraham. Abraham, the OG, Will is here with me. Will, you have been with me. First off, how are you doing tonight? And then second off, you've been with me from the start, man. Let me it's been crazy.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Randy made a group chat on Discord with a bunch of people. Said, hey, I'm doing a thing. Who wants to be involved? I was the only person to raise my hand and be like, Randy, me. No, I'm doing fantastic, though. I'm working hard, watching Survivor and just reality TV in general. Finally got my coworkers back into Survivor, so we've been talking about it. I was told that I'd be like Rupert if I was to go in Survivor, which, I think is pretty apt. But what about you, Mr. Randy Bruce? I know you've been a busy bee as of late.
Super, super busy bee. We were talking before going on air, and you were talking about my beard, and then I just noticed, I'm like, Will's getting a little mustache here. Both of us.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying. It's rough.
It looks good. No, obviously, it needs to come in a little bit thicker, but it looks good, man. Yeah, it's been a ride. I'm interested. Now, obviously, we're going to get to the Rites of Passage. That is why everyone is here. Feel free to jump in our live chat, interact with us as we kind of rank these players. It's literally an old Survivor classic. What's the word? Tradition. It's a Survivor tradition that we've kind of taken over since they stopped doing it in real life, and we've been doing it for a few seasons now. But before we get into that, look, this is going to sound so negative, but it is finale week. And I am both excited for the finale and also excited for the offseason, Will. I don't know how you feel, but it's been a lot of Survivor, from Survivor Australia to Survivor US. I don't know if you watched this season of Survivor Australia, but it's been a lot. So for me, I'm going to be sad. Once this weekend's, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, Survivor's done until the fall. That is going to hit me. But at the same time, I'm a little excited for the offseason. I'm not going to lie.
I feel like the offseason, it's a weird time because it's not like I magically stop caring about Survivor, right? I still watch seasons. I still play the online Survivors. It's just, I feel like that's the time to really binge seasons. I tried watching Survivor Philippines a little bit ago. It's just weird to jump from 46 and read the edgics and do the stock watch every week to then watching 5 episodes of Philippines and not remembering half of what I just saw, But I haven't seen Survivor AU, so I am more sad to see Survivor go for a little bit. I am excited, however, with each passing season, we get closer to Survivor 50. It's gonna be a big one.
Legend season. I have to ask you this question before we actually get into everything. Do you think they end on Survivor 50 or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't think they do either.
I do think it's going to be a big season, but I also equally don't want them to overhype it. Kind of like Survivor 30, how it was just a normal season, or Survivor 10 was a normal season. There's no reason why they need to do a big legend season, because I feel like we already had that with Winners at War.
Yeah.
Right? Where it felt like
I thought they did it too early. I thought they should have saved Winners at War 450. That just sounded like a bigger deal to me than 40.
It kind of, but then you also think about Survivor 40 being the 20-year mark. Survivor was going to be here for 20 years. So, with Survivor 50, it's what, 25 years or so? It's less about the number, more about the date. But I do hope, I'm looking forward to it. I already made my pregame alliance with Troyzan for when I'm on Survivor 50. So just putting that out there, guys. Get ready for the alliance.
Get ready for the alliance. I will say, you mentioned Troyzan. If you guys aren't familiar, Will usually works on our show Survivor Stockwatch. Go check it out.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible season of Survivor Stockwatch. Your third season of doing that show, right? Is it your third or second?
It's our third. It's the second season we started with. 44, we kind of jumped into it halfway through.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But Survivor Stockwatch, it's been getting better with each passing season and episode. When we first started doing it, it was just Jack's notes, and I would like give commentary. Now that we've been doing it more, it's kind of like a back and forth banter, where we talk about the edit a lot. We talk about the edit. We talk about clues, less about what's actually happening in the episode, and more of what is the big story that's happening. What is all the players' path to the end? What are they doing? It's a lot more than just, hey, Jeff Probst is kind of annoying still,
I mean, and you guys have been getting a great audience. Like the viewership has been great. The interaction with the fans. We have Jay in the chat literally agreeing with you. Yeah. Love the Stockwatch. And then Jay also adds, Will going to be on Survivor 48?
I would love, this is the open letter to CBS,
They're watching right now.
They're like, I like this kid's moxie. Put him on.
Dude, I would. Abraham says he wants to see you, me, and Tegwith on Survivor. So like, just
R.I.P. Jack.
Yeah, he left everyone else off. Like Ollie, Matthew. He wants to see us three. But all right, so let's get right into this, Will, because we've got so much to cover today. And it is the Rites of Passage. So if you guys are a newer Survivor fan and you're not familiar with the Rites of Passage, it's a tradition that Survivor used to do. Most of the time it was on the finale episode, if not every single season it was. I'm trying to remember if there was ever a season it wasn't. But essentially, it is the final 3 or final 2, whichever it was at the time, going kind of on this journey. And along the path, there would be different relics or torches that would symbolize someone who they had voted out of the game or someone who got voted out of the game. And they would just spend a couple seconds kind of talking about that player. And then we would get to hear from that player once more about what their Survivor journey meant to them. So Survivor stopped doing this in recent seasons. I don't remember off the top of my head the last season they did the Rites of Passage. Will, do you know it?
I thought it was Caramoan, because I know they stopped for like, I think it was Redemption Island. I think Redemption Island, you could only find it online. I remember they like stopped randomly, and one season was like it was like an online video. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find it right now. I know it was in the 20s though.
Yeah. They kind of stopped it randomly. I know some people Jay adds they did sort of a Rites of Passage in the finale of 45. They did do one. I kind of like that. That's where they had like all the confessionals where they were kind of talking about the winners and stuff. So they did get back to kind of doing it, but what it used to be just kind of went away. And I know a lot of people think it just went away because it took up too much time, and CBS maybe just decided to cut that to, show more of the final 3, whatever the case may be. It went away. And so on Survivor now, we've brought it back. And with the Rites of Passage, we're going to go through and talk about every single Survivor player, give our thoughts on how they played the game. And in good spirits, we are going to rank them. Okay. I want to say, if you're watching this as a Survivor player, we are not here to rip on you. Okay. We understand that you guys are real people, real human beings. You all went out there to play the game that you love. So this is all with respect. If we said you played a bad game or we said you had no game, it is not a knock on you as a person. It is just from what we saw from the edit and from what we can tell talking to, our friends who kind of, we like to look past the edit at times. So don't take any of this in a harsh way, please. It's all in good fun. And we hope you all had fun on your Survivor journey and get to go back out there and play again one day, because I know everyone wants that second chance. So, Will, real quick before we start, really quick thoughts.
Real quick.
Real quick. How has this season been for you?
This season, it grows with every passing episode. I hated the first 3 episodes of the season.
Oh.
I do think they did a few things I wasn't a big fan of. I think the edit was way too imbalanced for what it was for a 90-minute episode. It's no one's fault in particular. I do not blame certain cast members who was kind of a sponge for entertainment. Like basically the Yanu tribe. However, I liked the ideas it had very early on. I liked the Yanu tribe being the failing everything, Nami being, pressurized and, very tense, Evan Siga being the vibe tribe. I liked that. I really liked Jem's downfall episode. I thought Mariah had a lot of missed potential until her boot episode. A lot of weird editing too, like with Mariah. If you were with us on Stockwatch, you would know we had her ranked really high for so much unnecessary personal content for her to get voted out immediately. But then I think the string of merge episodes involving Q mainly were fantastic. I thought the Tevin vote was really cool, coming from, Liz of all people. I thought Hunter's downfall was really cool. Everyone getting voted out with an idol in their pocket, breaking the previous record, is also hilarious. And a weird final five that I don't think anyone saw coming. Did you see Liz in the final five?
No, I think most people saw Liz going out early. I mean, personally, like if you look at like where this ranks among the new era seasons, because I know we've been doing that with every season that comes out. We rank it in the new era. We don't even compare it to the old version of the show. Jay adds in right here, best season of the new era. I know a lot of people are saying that it's been super entertaining, mainly because it's been messy. It has not had the best gameplay. Obviously, 5 people getting voted out with idols in their pocket. It hasn't been fantastic gameplay. Like, I'm really interested to see if we put anybody in great game. I'm interested to see that. But yes, it's been entertaining. Outside of the first 4 episodes when it was the Banu show, and we'll get to Banu. I mean, everyone, myself included, I was done. Yeah. I mean, I said, Will, I'm going behind the scenes. I sent voice messages and text messages to our group chat, our Survivor Now group chat, being like, Survivor's dead. Like, this is awful. And they were like, Randy, calm down. I'll own up to it. And I was wrong. And they were like, Randy, you need to calm down. It's fine. I'll own up to it. Yeah. But like,
finally,
I'll own up to it. But Will, like, am I wrong at the time for saying that? Because it was bad. Those first 4 episodes.
Okay, so like you're not wrong. So here's the thing. I actually really do like the new era Survivor. I think it's different than what it was, but I do embrace it because I do think I think it's more of a storyline now. Mm-hmm. Like take Survivor 44. I think if you were to script a season of Survivor, it would go very similarly to Survivor 44. And I feel like we're kind of in that era. And so I view Survivor like that. I view it as a one big continuous story, and I'm trying to find the main character. And so I wasn't a fan because so much content was around Banu. And at first it did feel kind of uncomfortable at times with him yelling at God and begging on his hands and knees to Tiffany. But then it also gave us something to talk about. And so it was really annoying at the time, but knowing now that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I think the problem was during episode 2 and episode 3, it's like we didn't know. Banu could have stayed until the final 5. He could have been the next one out. There was no way to know. And so it was annoying. But I feel like looking back, I'm looking at the season less harsh than I think you were at first.
No, I agree with that. I still like ultimately, you said it earlier, Will, the post-merge was absolutely fantastic. It's been incredible. I would still personally put season 45 over season 46. Yeah. But I think I would put season 46 as the second best season. As messy as it's been from an entertainment value, I'd probably put it too. How I'm ranking the new era seasons, I'd probably go 45, 46, 44, 43, 42, 41. It's probably going just like that.
Your hatred for Marianne, bro. I would probably go 44 at number 1 because I think, again, it's one of the seasons where if you love it, you love it. If you're a fan of the TK3...
What season? Sorry, say it again.
44.
44? Okay.
I was a big fan of the TK3. I would do 45 next because it has grown on me, and I think that it has some of the best editing Survivor has seen in a long time in terms of balance, which is something I feel like Survivor lacks a lot across all iterations. And that's just TV in general. And then 46, the pre-merge was still a little rough. And then probably 42, 43, 41. But I do like 41 more than a lot of people. Like, again, I like these.
That's the thing is Jay added in a 42 above 43. OMG. Well, and he corrected it. He said, I mean 43 over 42. Yeah, I don't think 43 was that bad. I love Gabler as a person. I loved him as a winner. I think it was a shock winner. I don't understand the Gabler hate. I really don't. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, 42, I had one of my least favorite winners of all time. Sorry, Marianne. That's just personal. Maybe that's a podcast for the off season. Like talking about our favorite. That'd be a fun podcast of our favorite and least favorite winners. So I'm not a Marianne fan. Totally spoiled the season. And then I agree. Will I agree in the sense I think Erica deserves more praise as a winner, but I did hate 41. But they were experimenting a lot with stuff. So let's get into this now. I'm gonna make this full screen so everybody can see it now.
Yeah.
Or I guess somewhat full screen. This is how it's gonna work. So I hope you guys can still hear me. Yeah. So this is how it's going to work. You see the categories. We're going to split all these players up, say a couple things about each and every one of them. We're going to split them up in great game, good game, okay game, bad game, and no game. Obviously, if we put them in no game, they had no business being on this season or Survivor. And then if we put them in bad game, they just really suck. That's the difference. A lot of times people are like, what's the difference between no game and bad game? The difference is bad game is they were really bad at trying to play the game. No game is they did absolutely nothing. So I need to reword how. Yeah, that's why I messed up how I was initially describing it. The difference between good game and okay game. Okay game is like, all right, you did fine. Good game is like, you did good in the game, and then great game is like, wow, you blew us away. You're a legend for sure coming back. And then at the end, Will and myself will try to come to agreements on who is going to be in the final 3 and who is going to win the game of Survivor. So let's get right into this. And then Jay did say right here, damn, okay, damn, Randy. Okay, yeah, I'd like you to explain the Marianne era in the offseason. Yeah, I'll do a video on it sometime. So, let's get into this, man. Starting off with Jelinski, the legend himself.
The monster.
I almost put him as the 7th castaway that we talk about solely because of the several thing. Obviously, that's what he went down for. I mean, whether you like Jelinski or not, he's a legend. Jeff Probst has brought his name up like 4 times after this man has been eliminated. So what do we think about Jelinski in this game this season?
All right, this might be a little controversial. This might be a little crazy to say. I do think Jelinski was amazing. I obviously, he's not a good game player. I would put him under bad game. But there is talk about Jelinski returning to another season.
Oh, I think he's going to be back.
I do not want him to be back because I think it ruins the joy of Jelinski now because Jelinski was not self-aware enough. Jelinski on a return is going to be self-aware of all the jokes and the several. And so it won't feel as authentic as Jelinski now. Jelinski now is a 1 in a million lightning in a bottle, edit, and I love Jelinski for it.
So you're saying just leave it how it's at. Like you can't bring him back because it's the perfect like Survivor storyline that Jelinski had. Like he's going to go down. in history of how he left the game, how he quit. And if you bring him back, it kind of ruins the aura that Zelensky has surrounding the game. The lore, I should say, the lore of Zelensky. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like bringing Francesca back one more time, and then her not being
the first one out.
It's like you can't do that. I do think though Zelensky is part of the theme where it's like he did not play a good game at all, but contributed heavily to the entertainment on the first episode by far.
I actually agree with you, Will. I was worried that you were going to say put him down to no game.
No,
I agree. I think Zelensky had a game. It was very bad. Obviously, the jokes of him quitting. He quit in the Savvy or Sweat challenge. And then what was the other instance that people were like he quit in? Was it the immunity challenge or when was it?
It was the mini game with Maria and Tevin.
That's right. He's just like, oh, it's me. I'm lying.
But it's like he was in a lose-lose situation. I don't really fault him on that. Everything else he sucked on. But
I think he's going to be back. I think if they do a season where it's like second chances, he's going to come back.
Maybe. I just don't see the magic being brought back. You know? Like, I don't know. I would love to see Zelensky back, but I don't think it's going to be as magical as Zelensky now.
Yeah, let's let Zelensky rest. Let the legend of Zelensky rest in peace. Well, next up, we have Jess. And honestly, I think Jess should go in no game.
Yeah, this is rough.
This is why. We heard Jess, and I don't want to look too far into their after the game interviews and stuff like that. But we heard Jess say she was ready to leave. Like she struggled being out there. She didn't really enjoy being out there. Jess is certainly someone that we are not going to see back on Survivor ever again. I just don't believe she's ever going to be back. And while Zelensky had game, he was trying to, he went on the journey and stuff like that. Did Jess have game? You could argue she was the only person who played an idol this season, even though it was a fake one, the one that Q gave to her. But like, other than that, I just don't think Jess came to play this season, and I just don't see her ever coming back and playing again.
Yeah, Jess is kind of like an org player, an online Survivor player, because I feel like she'd be good on like Big Brother. I'm not gonna lie.
She's not outside. Yeah.
She's not outside. I think Jess brought a lot of humor, especially on social media, a lot of it being unintentional. I did think her boot episode felt a little too mean-spirited, and I think that was a big turnoff for a lot of people for the season, especially early on. Like, Yanu 3 were just straight villains that whole episode. To poor Jess, who did not...
It was a very dark part of the game.
It was, and I felt bad, but if we have to talk about strictly game, there is not much to go off of. I understand why she struggled so much. I totally get it, but it's just, gotta get, just.
There's not much to say. We just didn't get much of Jess, and it's kind of hard to speak on these players for the first couple episodes because we didn't get much from anyone other than, this certain person that we're coming up to very quickly. Jay adds into the chat. Yeah, Jess seemed like a fish out of water. That is a great way to put it. I also loved how you said she's like an org player. She felt like the Brandon of this season. And I love Brandon. Like someone who wanted to go out there and play the game, loves the game, but just was not meant to be out there.
I was talking about Brandon Hance.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Brandon from last season.
Oh, okay.
Brandon Donnellan. Yeah.
All right. I was making sure. I got worried for a second.
The Brandon Hands plug.
The Brandon Hands, man. Yeah, no, I agree. And it sucks, but at the same time, too, you do need a Jess on your season of Survivor. You need someone who is so catastrophically bad at every single part of the game because it gives you something to talk about. It gives you something to watch. If everyone was just okay at Survivor, it'd be a much more boring season.
No, I agree. 1,000%. Next up, we have our first non-Yanu member, and it is Randon. This was devastating because Randon came to play, Will. He had an idol.
Oh, yeah.
He was trying to form something with Venus because he saw that Venus didn't have any allies. And he said, if no one's willing to work with Venus, I'll work with Venus. That gives me someone who has nowhere else to go. We saw this alliance start to form. And then obviously Randon gets pulled out of the game after he wakes up and just he's numb all over. He's really struggling, really laboring. And we end up, I think it was like a pinched nerve in his back or something like that. Thankfully, it wasn't anything serious. Will, what do you think about Randon's game here?
It's just too hard to say. I'm inclined to put it under no game because I think the impact he had, the impact was so minimal because Randon was there and then he left. In terms of capabilities as a player, I could see him under okay game.
That's where I wanted to put him. I wanted to put him in okay because he was playing like at the time. If we're just judging when he left the game, I wanted to go up here because I thought he was playing. No, well, just when he left the game, like he was playing really. Maybe I overdid it. Maybe he should be good, but like he was playing really good. Like he was one of the strong early players. He was shocking me. This is a guy that I thought was going to be one of the first people out. And I thought he was making some great survivor moves. And then obviously he gets medevaced out of the game. So I see your logic for no game, but I was thinking okay game because of how he was playing before he got taken out. So I'm cool with either. I see your logic. What are we thinking here?
I think another thing too is that he was not a part of the Nami 3 because the Nami early game was really about Tevin, Soda, and Hunter. They were never like a unified 3, but Tevin was really close with Hunter and really close with Soda. And so that was always going to be a 3 that Randon was not a part of. And so for that as well, it's like his position on Nami wasn't that strong. He did have an idol. He was making the moves, but he didn't have a lot to work with in the first place. And so he was either going to skate by, but he was never going to make the waves unless he survived till merge and linked up with people where he could have done well. But again, it's just way too many what ifs when he was not a part of the main structure for me to put him in like good or great game. I can settle with okay game.
You can say, well, I was going to say that right here. Jay says, nah, he did have game because he formed an alliance with Venus and was trying to get an idol.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and then Jay also adds in, he did say he was close to flipping Hunter, Tevin, and Liz against Soda. So maybe something that we didn't really get to see. And then Jay also wants to know, Will, I'll leave this question for you. Will Randon get the Bruce treatment and be on 47?
No, I feel like Bruce got the Bruce treatment because it was a challenge gone wrong. You know, he hit his head on the challenge. I feel like, I don't know. The Bruce treatment was such a 1 in a million chance of someone getting injured and then coming back. I could see Randon coming back if they ever redid like a Philippines-esque season and bring back the guy from David versus Goliath. Pat, I think his name was.
Yep.
And maybe even like Matthew from 44. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. I know my Survivor stuff.
It's just Will is killing it on the names over here.
I know my names after I called Carson Marcus the entire time in the last Stockwatch episode. Anywho, I don't see it just because again too, like he was able to go on the island. He was able to be there. And if it's a medical thing, I don't know if they'd want to bring him back just to potentially get injured again.
Yeah.
What about you, Randy? What do you think?
I don't see them bringing him back for 47. Could I eventually see him coming back down the road? Yes, I think, and this is not a knock on Randon, but I think Bruce was just a player that CBS knew he needs to be on a season of Survivor. Like he's going to be entertaining. We saw that with 45. He came back and provided so much entertainment. I think that was, and again, not a knock on Randon, but I think CBS saw it where Bruce didn't even get through essentially one night. And they said, we got to give this guy at least a chance to play. Randon did play. I think he made it to day 6 or 7 before he got taken out of the game.
Yeah,
so like he did play the game. So I don't think it's going to be the same thing that they bring him back immediately. Could I see him coming back in the future? Maybe. Something in my gut is kind of leaning no. That we won't see him again.
But not a hard no. I just don't see them going out of their way to bring back Randon. That's the thing. Anywho.
Well, next up, let's get to him.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to put him in great game? You don't want to put him winner? You don't want to do that?
No. Banu. Let's not spend too much time on Banu because Survivor made sure we got 4 episodes of the Banu show. Well, I mean, when you look at it, Banu's a great person. He did soil the beginning of the season for a lot of fans. It's Banu was out there trying to play Survivor. Like he had a good game. He was trying to learn, but I think it just comes down to this was a player who had no idea what he was doing out there. And he could not lie. He could not lie to save his life.
Banu just should not have gone on Survivor.
I see why he got casted, though.
I see why, too. But it's like, okay, this is going to be a wild thing to say. Bear with me. It's kind of like Brandon Hance. You can't just bring Brandon Hance in the season and expect him to, like, be okay mentally. You know? And I don't mean that as a diss, because I think Banu... I think he's a really nice guy. I think he's a really cool guy. And I know people like talk about him yelling at Jess in the challenge. Jess herself said her and Banu were chill. So I'm just saying that much. I just also think it was a little... I think he hammed up the camera a little too much too. To where it didn't feel too genuine with Banu when he wanted to win 1,000,000 hearts. It just felt too... not showboaty, but it felt like he was doing it for the cameras, to where when he was being real, people had a hard time, seeing that it was real. But yeah, and Banu, he was just he tried,
I will say, I'll say this about Banu is he gave us one of the lowest moments in Survivor history, and what I mean by that is, I think there were some people who are like, people are being too harsh on Banu. And I'm not saying that people weren't being too harsh. There was some, we'll get to it I'm sure at some point with some other castaways. The internet's been harsh this season. The castaways have been harsh to each other. It's been a very hostile season.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that people weren't a little too rude when it came to the Banu situation. But I think Banu did have some people who absolutely loved having him on the show for entertainment purposes. But then it got to the point where he was begging Tiffany on his knees, and Tiffany had to be like, Banu, get up. Like a grown man being like, please help me. And we saw him obviously kind of curse God and be like, well, you did this to me. And I think that was all episode 4. And at that point, I think everybody was done with Banu. I don't think there was a single person. I mean, I listened to some other podcasts where they had people who loved Banu, and then after that, they said, okay, we're done.
Yeah. He did what he meant to do. He played his role in this narrative. Whatever narrative it is, he played his role, got voted out. And sometimes that's all you need to do. And JT, your comment, I don't think Banu will ever return. Because
I was just about to bring that up. Jay, I think there's a chance of him returning since he got a huge head up. I think they could bring him back.
I don't think so. I think the backlash. I don't think Banu is not universally loved enough to justify bringing a 4th boot in a legend season. I do think, if it wasn't Survivor 50, if they were just bringing back like new era people, then sure, why not? Let's see what Banu can do one more time. Let him crash and burn. But I feel like no matter what, there's no growth for Banu as a Survivor player. He's always going to be an early boot, and that's okay.
What about a second chance season? You don't think Jeff is oozing at the fact of bringing him back, especially after Jeff went on a podcast and said, look, Banu is entertaining. This is what we want. We want genuine people. And Banu is as genuine as they come.
So here's the thing, though. It's like, I get why they casted Banu. I get why they think he's compelling TV, because no matter what, he is compelling. Everyone knew who Banu was. My coworkers who don't know Survivor, they know Banu, and they know the Applebee's meltdown, which we'll get to. They know that. And so Banu is great TV, but again, it's like Brandon Hance. Brandon Hance was shown to not be the most stable person in Survivor 23, and CBS got a lot of backlash bringing him back in Karamoan, right? I'm not saying Banu is like Brandon Hance, but in terms of just mentally, they just remind me of each other. And I get why it's compelling, but it's dangerous bringing it back, you know?
No, I agree. I think if they actually listen to the fans here and look at the numbers and how bad season 46 started off and how people were viewing it as a terrible season, you got to look up no further than Banu. But next up after Banu, I think that was after the Banu show. We got past the Banu show and kind of the first 4 episodes where it was just kind of very lackluster of a season. And then we were treated to the first shocking moment of the season, Jim going home with an idol in her pocket. Now, a lot of people think that Jim overplayed. I'm one of the people, I don't think her kind of throwing her tribe off was overplaying. Yes, it came back to bite her in the ass, but I don't think it was necessarily overplaying for Jim. I thought it was a good move. Get them looking, try to get everyone not looking at you. Obviously it backfired, but she obviously went home with an idol in her pocket. I felt like she had a strong beginning of the game, flamed out.
She did.
I want to put her above Randon and okay.
Yeah. So Jim is a little sour for me to talk about, because if you've seen the stock watch, you'll know me and Jack, the episode before she went out, we had her at number 1. We were convinced she was the winner because
she looked great. She looked by far the best player out there.
She had so many small moments. She had a weird edit, but like enough for like the traditional Survivor winner edit, because Survivor still doesn't know how to handle under the radar women.
Nope.
Apparently, shout out to CBS. Hopefully they're changing that. But you know, so I thought Jem was the winner. And then she flamed out pretty hard, pretty bad. I think I don't fault her for any of the moves she's made and for her thinking, because I think her weak spot was just underestimating Charlie and Maria's relationship. I think Jem had the right ideas of having an all-women alliance. And Tim was kind of invisible at the time, so we didn't hear from him. Ben didn't really have a lot of strategy going on. And so for a while, it looked like Jem was running the show. And I think because of that, I do think she overplayed a little tiny bit. I don't fault. It's not catastrophic where it's like, Jem, what are you doing? Yeah. I wouldn't have done the thing she's done. And I can't blame her for the blindside, but because she did get blindsided, I can't put her in like good game, even though I think she could be a good player.
Yeah, Jay adds in here. I don't blame her for being blindsided with the idol, though. Her tribe did a good job with blindsiding her. It was a masterful blindside. I mean, Will, do we put her in good game, or do we leave her in okay?
I'd still do okay, because I think I do think there's some potential that was missed and lost with Jem going as early as she did. She did flame out early, and I feel like with Survivor, it's like you have to play to your tribe. Jem was a clear outlier because the Sika tribe was a very vibe tribe, and she tried playing a very strategic game. And I think that was a big downfall for her as well.
Do we see her, Jay? She better get a second chance. This one's tough. I would love to see Jem back out there because she played such a great game early on. She looked like an incredible Survivor player. I think if this game goes a little different, she had all the tools to make it to the end of this game. But if I'm going with my gut, something tells me we won't see her again.
I just think there's too much competition for Gem, for her archetype.
With when she went out in the game too.
With when she went out, there's too much competition. I think if she does return, I think she could be an amazing player. Like Kelly Wentworth, right?
Yeah.
Kelly Wentworth was very relevant in San Manuel del Sur, came back and became a legend. I could see Gem going down that same path. I think her biggest obstacle is just getting casted in the first place, though.
No, definitely well said. Next up, we have Mariah, who kind of shot herself in the foot. If you guys remember, she was left out of that gym vote. And then she kind of was playing the whole Siga Strong. This is when everybody came together on the same beach. And she's telling everyone, I'm Siga Strong. I'm Siga Strong. Q's like, is there any way into the Siga group? And no, we're all Siga Strong. And then turns out at tribal council, she's like, I'll just let you guys know I was left out of the gym vote. So we're not Siga Strong. And it kind of came from Q to be like, I can't trust you now because you already lied to me. Even though you're coming out and telling the truth, you've already lied to me.
Yeah.
But she kind of shot herself in the foot. If I'm doing an initial placement here, man, this kills me. But I almost want to put her in bad game.
All right.
She did use her shot in the dark. Thank you for reminding me, Jay. It's tough. Will, argue against me here.
I'm not saying she played a good game, but like it was really looking promising for Mariah of all people. I think she had a very edit-wise, she had a very strong start. She had so much random content that she did not need. Why did we get a whole 5-minute jumping scene with her for no payoff?
The stuff you got to remind me of, the jumping scene, that was legendary. It was so long ago.
So long ago. I thought her early game confessionals, it was a little scary because it felt like a journey edit, which I feel like she ended up really getting. But I thought she could have went down that path. I think honestly, it's kind of like Gem, where I feel like she had a very strong set of episodes with weird content. But the fact that she always had something is better than like the next person we have who got nothing all game. I think she just had one really bad episode and one bad mistake. And if we're making that mistake like catastrophic, then bad game. If we're able to go past episode 5 or episode 6, whatever it was, then episode 6. If we can go past that, then I think it's an okay game. That should be.
I mean, I'm okay putting her in okay game. Basically everything that you said. And I mean, the game of Survivor is so fluid in motion that it can change just like that. And she did set herself up for, success moving forward. She had a close alliance member with Jim. You kind of had Maria in the middle, right? She could go with the guys or she could go with the girls. She just chose to go with the guys here, which kind of sank Mariah's game. And so if you look at it from that point, she's up here in good game. And then I think she goes down to okay game once she talks her way out of the game, that kind of moves her down a level. So I actually agree with okay game. And I know I got a little ahead of myself, but we get to Tim, who this is still in that weird mergatory area where they're merged now, but we have 2 separate tribals and he has to go to tribal council first. His group does, which means whoever, gets voted out just misses out on the jury. I know a lot of fans hate that Survivor does it like that. Tim was the one here who missed out. This is another tough one, Will. I mean, this is always hard, but Tim was he had game. Like he was trying to form this alliance with Maria, kind of the parents alliance. It wasn't working out. And then we saw him go on this journey where it was Q, Hunter, and him, I believe. Yeah. And they all said, Hunter was like, I've got Tevin back at my camp. Q was like, I've got Tiffany back at my camp. Tevin said, I have Maria. So it was just a bad read from Tim. And then we saw his game sort of spiral on when Q went up to him and said, hey, are we doing the 6? And Tim hadn't even spoke with Maria yet. And it kind of got messy after that. So like he had game. So I feel like I can't put him in no game, but I do feel like we have to put him in bad game. But I do feel like he played better than Jelinski and Bonnet.
So the thing is, it's like I don't think he had the right ideas. A lot of the things he wanted to do, I thought honestly were solid. It's just he could not do it in practice. I think making a cross-tribe alliance of 6 for the merge, I thought that was flawless. I thought doing that,
idea,
it's great to start out the mergatory vote, and then you get into the two groups. I think Tim immediately blundered at that point. He didn't know where else to go outside of just being part of the 6 that was already blowing up. Had he known that alliances of 6 like that never work, long term, maybe he would have survived better. Maybe he would have made better moves. But it's just too hard to say when we get legitimately nothing for 3 straight episodes. He had 1 confessional between episodes 2 and 6, or like 2 and 4, where it's just talking about the song battle. that. Yeah, Tika Man and episode 5. And so the fact that it's just too little, not enough. And so
Jay adds in Tim and Sifu basically got the same edit. Go ahead, Will. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I think Sifu was more character. Tim was more strategic, but I do think they both had like very similar roles in the narrative. I'm okay to put them in bad, no game, or okay game, no game for the lack of impact. Like I said with Randon, okay game because he made the ideas, bad game because he couldn't execute the ideas. I'll leave it up to you, honestly.
I feel like I gotta put him in bad game. Terms of, I know this is another thing that we've kind of started to do with the Rites of Passage in terms of saying whether we think they're going to return or not. I do not see Tim returning.
No, Tim's not returning.
yeah. I would almost bet a lot of money that we will not see him on our Survivor screens again. Let's get to our first jury member. And Will, I'll kind of let you. I've been leading us through these players' games. Walk us through Soda's game. What we got from Soda this season?
Soda, very strong premiere episode, and then immediately lost a lot of stock. Soda, I don't think played that good of a game at all. I think I'd put her in bad game. I would think too. Yeah. I think Soda, I think she was just lacking in certain areas. I mean that nicely. I don't want to be mean to Soda.
Yeah, obviously this is all, we said it at the beginning. This is all good fun. We respect all you guys who went out and played. All of you.
I like bad gameplay more than good gameplay in terms of entertainment. So if I'm ragging on you, it's a sign of appreciation. Shout out to Jess. No, but I think Soda, I think she was she played too hard. She couldn't read the room well enough. I think it's like one of those things where it's like she wanted to play the game of Survivor, but you have to play the people. Soda played too hard too quickly, and it lost a lot of trust with Tevin. And outside of that, she didn't really have a lot of connections. She had her feud with Venus that was pretty cool, and then I think Liz said she didn't really care for Soda. It was either that or
you brought up the feud with Venus. That's the one that really stuck out with me. Is I just felt like a lot of people are going to put it on Venus, and we're going to get to Venus, and everybody knows I'm a Venus stan. I'm a little biased towards Venus. We'll get to all that. But a lot of people were saying like it's Venus's fault that they aren't getting along. I felt like it was Soda's fault. Like I felt like Soda just kind of rode off working with Venus. And I agree with you, Will. She had such a hot start. Like that first episode, everyone was like, wow, Soda came to play, myself included. And I just felt like over time that really died down. And a big part of this is when Tevin and Hunter were discussing making a move, they didn't go to Soda, which I expected them to go to Soda. To be like they're like third person. That's what I expected. No, they went to Liz, and that was kind of like that's the first time that I looked at Abraham and I went, oh, maybe Liz is playing more of a game than we thought, because Tevin felt comfortable enough to go to Liz about this plan that this blind side they're trying to pull. And then obviously it was a blind side to get out Soda. This is something that Liz wanted to do. Tevin wanted to make this move. And it did end up being a massive blindside. Obviously, we got the very cool Survivor moment where Venus, or she's looking at Venus and she's like, "Did you do this?" And Venus is like, "Yeah, I did." And Tevin shakes his head, "No." Very iconic moment that we got from the season. I felt like the game got away from Soda, and I just felt like she wasn't able to really control her own narrative in a sense.
Yeah. And that's just part of playing too hard. I think she would have done better on Siga. If she was on the Siga tribe instead, I think she would have done a lot better. And then if, like, I don't know, replace her with like Gem, put Gem on Nami, put Soda on Siga,
shuffle the tribes a little bit.
I think that would have been I think they would have belonged better on both of those tribes. Gem being more strategic and forthcoming, and then Soda being more vibe. I don't know.
Let's see what the viewers are saying. Hello, Adzen. Welcome to the stream. Hello.
What's up, hello. Missed you.
Soda played bad ostracizing Venus in that one moment when she didn't want to talk to her. I think you always need to have options open. Very well said. Hello also adds in, Soda running to tell Randon's comment about Venus being Parvati was another bad move by her. And then Jay adds in exit interviews, Hunter, Liz, and Tevin didn't trust Soda anymore because she tried to go between the two alliances of Tevin and Hunter and Randon and Venus. Tried playing the middle set. So, yeah, I think we're in agreement. She played better than Tim, but she's still in bad game.
Yeah.
And I mean, people have been saying this season is like super entertaining because we're getting messy gameplay, but a lot of people are saying that this season hasn't had the best gameplay in the world. And right now we have 4 people in bad game and 3 in okay. We've yet to have someone who we thought had a good game. And we already said at the beginning that we didn't know if anyone was going to get put in great game. So, I mean, before we get on to kind of, I know Soda's part of the jury, but before we get on to the second half here, why these people at the beginning of the game, why do we have so many bad games going on to start here?
Well, it's just, I mean, think about it, right? Like, the bad players are going to go first, right? Like, if it's very rare for a bad player to make it far in the game. Normally they have to be carried by another person. We saw that kind of with Venus, but not really. She wasn't really carried by anyone except for her lack of social grace. But typically the bad players, they go first. Look at Jelinski, look at Banu, look at Jess, people who could not thrive on the island. I feel like, honestly, we're going to get into a not better second half, but more solid. Like, there's a few people I'd put in good game. Like Tevin, honestly. I'd put Tevin in good game.
Good. I mean, good segue. I'm proud of you, Will.
Thank you.
Good segue. I agree. Good. Take it away. I know we were just about to go on Tevin. I agree with putting him as our first good game.
I think Tevin, he is a complete package in terms of Survivor casting. I think he is a very good confessionalist and a very good narrator. I think back to the fishing scene, where I feel like he is very well articulate. Tevin was honestly the king of Nami at the very start of the game.
Yeah.
It was his bond with Soda and his bond with Hunter that really put him in center. And the fact that it wasn't a set trio, I think strengthened Tevin's game even more because he was able to pivot away from Soda. And I don't think voting out Soda was that bad of a move. I think him trying to take credit for it and ostracizing Venus, I think that was his undoing. Had he survived longer.
His only bad move, I think his only bad move was his disdain for Venus throughout the entire game. I think if he turned off that blinker, it would have opened more options. It would have, I think he could have played the game better. to go off what you're saying. I think that was his only bad move this game.
Yeah, and honestly, he didn't get screwed, but it was weird how Q threatened to quit, and then Tevin still got voted out.
Did he not have an idol as well?
No, Tevin did have an idol.
Yeah, that began the idol downfall.
Oh yeah, which we'll get to with Hunter, Tiffany, Venus, Q, and with everyone being voted out with their idols. But I think Tevin is also someone I could see coming back in the future.
Well, I was just about to ask about that. We forgot to say for Soda, so I'll go ahead and say thank you, Jay. He had an extra vote. Thank you. Because someone told me in a stream the other day he had an idol, and I didn't believe it then because I was doing the math. I'm like, Q makes 4 in a row. That would be 5 in a row. Something felt off about that, so I wanted to bring it up. Thank you, Jay, for stat correcting us. In terms of Soda coming back, I don't see Soda coming back.
No,
I don't think she was. Back. You don't see it either?
No.
I don't think she was memorable enough for someone who went out kind of early in the game. Tevin, on the other hand, and let's see. Sorry, I'm getting back to it. Jay says Tevin has to come back. Hello adds in, yes, good game. And maybe celebrating too much in front of Liz was also a mistake. Definitely, potentially. But yeah, I feel like Tevin is. I would bet a lot of money that Tevin comes back.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet too much money because he still got voted out early.
Relatively early, yeah.
Like if we're talking about just strictly new era people, I think Tevin's a lock. If we're talking about everyone from Survivor,
you think he's one of the last people to get a call if he gets a call?
Yeah, I could see him being an alternate for a legend season. It's just too soon, not far enough. But at the same time too, Tevin being the second juror and the 10th person voted out, right? No, 8th person.
Final 10 is basically the middle of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, final 10. It is a pretty good placement with a lot of really good players getting voted out at the final 10. Like I think Kelly last season as well. And we know Kelly is also a legend.
So Kelly is an absolute legend.
Shout out to Kelly. But yeah, no. Tevin, I think, played a good game. I don't want to overrate it because he did blunder a whole bunch, especially near the end, but his control and domination early on was really good.
Well, this is going to shock you, Will, because this is my winner pick right here. Hunter was my winner pick in the game. Hear me out.
I agree.
You do agree. All right, hear me out. I could see people thinking we're insane. What are you talking about? We got Survivor MacGyver. He carried his tribe in challenges. He found a hidden immunity idol. He literally made like his tribe a bed. How are you putting Hunter in okay game? I agree that in terms of challenges, there was so many challenges early on in the game. He was a beast. Remember that he threw someone over that like rolling pin in the water. And he just held on to their legs, pulled over. He could make any basket, anything. Even Tevin said, oh, you don't want Hunter to get those balls in his hands. We did have that moment this season.
Good wording.
Yeah, this is where I think social gameplay. I think Hunter did not have the best social game. I think a lot of times he was just kind of going along with the flow of what Tevin wanted to do. Tevin was the mastermind and Hunter was like the bronze in this situation. And I felt like it was very rare that I saw Hunter come up with his own plan. We saw more of Hunter rolling his eyes to the singing than we saw him actually talking about who to vote out. It was always Tevin going to Hunter, we should make this move. Hunter's like, yeah, I mean, I'm down. And you look at it, I think, yes, we had 5 misplays this season of immunity idols. I think Hunter's was the worst because you kept saying, you could argue Q's, and we'll get to Q's because I think that was also very, very, very bad. But Hunter, you kept saying, I have an idol. I'm just going to tell everyone I have it because I'm playing it. point blank, I'm playing it. You should know at this point that you're seen as a challenge threat.
Yeah.
There was no reason. I understand he came out in an interview and said, look, they did a great job convincing me that I wasn't being voted out. He said Kinsey convinced him that he was not going to be voted out. And it was close. It was a tie. It went to a revote, if I'm remembering correctly. Yep. But I just felt like his social game was not there. And I felt like in that moment, Hunter got greedy with the idol, and there was no reason that he shouldn't have played it at that tribal council. Will, I'll let you take it away here.
Yeah, I just don't think he was able to lie or deceive properly. I think either you say, hey, I don't care what's going on. I'm playing the idol, and I'm voting for someone. And then if you don't play, I could see it. You're trying to cause chaos. But the fact that he was saying that, but then also wanting to get clued in on the plan or a plan and like being openly paranoid, it caused too much doubt as to whether or not he was actually going to play the idol and whether or not he's going to save it for a rainy day. Because once you're the social pariah, you have to make your own plans. You have to get other people involved, and you just have to waste the idol. Survive the night. Everything can happen. After the vote, whatever. You have to play the idol.
You have in that instance, you have to play.
Yeah. And I think that was Hunter's biggest downfall, is that once he lost Tevin, he could not regain any momentum that was lost with Tevin.
Well, I also thought about that too. Remind me if I was incorrect. I'm glad you brought that up. And this is actually helping my point of saying he played an okay game, because we had hello in the chat adds in Hunter played a good game. Everyone else just played a better game. Jay laughs. I thought you were building up Hunter to be in bad game. No, I wouldn't go that far. All things you're saying, plus his social game, he was able to have great footing in his tribe and have a lot of cushion socially to not get voted. Merge is another issue. Pre-merge, good game. But post-merge, bad game. Yeah, it's definitely tough. Like you say that you say that he had a great first part of the game, kind of a rough second half. And you say he had a good game, just other people played better. I see that, but let me tell you guys this. And I love Hunter. Like I said, I would love to see Hunter back out there. I think we could see him back out there. I'm not guaranteeing it. I could see it. Obviously he knows what he's doing when it comes to the game of Survivor. But he also knew Tevin was going home. And this is when it really hit me that he was not playing the best game. Tevin wasn't a blindside to Hunter, if I remember correctly. Because I was wondering why he did not play his idol for Tevin. And I understand, like, that's such a big thing to do, to give up your idol, your safety in the game for someone else. But if you know that they're the target, that's your number one ally in the game. That's kind of a resume builder. And if I remember correctly, he had a feeling, obviously he didn't know 1,000% Tevin was going, but he had a feeling Tevin was going. And for him not to play his idol for his number one ally in that situation, I thought was also a really, that move alone, I would put in bad game. But overall, I think it was just okay game, because there's too many flaws in his game.
It's too much. He just lost his number one. He's a player. He's the kind of player that he needs a number one. He lost it, and all the cracks gave way in his game when he did lose his number one. But that's okay, because Hunter provided with great drama on Twitter with Venus.
So much drama. Will, could you see Hunter coming back and playing again?
Yeah. I think he's like, I don't know. I could see it. I think he's like the cross between Carson, who, cross between Carson
and Marianne. That's his. He doesn't like Carson. I don't like Marianne. Two likable people that we just have issues with.
and then there's also Jonathan Young. I think honestly, Hunter's kind of the cross between those two. Like far and away, clear cut challenge beast with Jonathan Young. And then the super duper fan building stuff in your shed with Carson. Yeah. And for that reason, I think I could see it.
Tiffany's an interesting one. We get to Tiffany, and Tiffany was by and large, the favorite to win this game from everybody I saw making predictions.
Except for me.
She also left with an idol in her pocket. Look, Tiffany's got to go up here in at least good game. Yep. I'd put her above Tevin. Now, the argument, Will, you might make the argument to put her in great game. I don't think I can put her in great game just solely because of the idol that she went home with in her pocket. Ultimately, I think cutting ties with Q was the right decision. I think maybe her and Kinsey should have made a move against Q a little bit earlier. I think Tiffany lost a lot of steam, not as much as someone like Soda or someone like Hunter from their pre-merge game. I just felt like she lost a little steam towards the end there. And I don't think she was aggressive enough. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Hello, Tiffany had a good game, mainly, but had some bad moments, but overall good. And then Jay adds in Tiff or Shan 2.0, as I call her, because Tiff and Shan had pretty similar games, to be honest. We can go more in depth with that. Will, what do you think about Tiffany's game? Because I know on Stock Watch, this was like the first time that you guys were, yes, you brought up the gym thing, but this was the first moment that you guys were like, wow, we were wrong. Because and it's not just you. Everyone saw Tiffany as being the winner of this game.
Randy, go back to Stock Watch. I never had Tiffany that high. I had her number one.
Was it Jack?
Jack was the one.
Yeah. I remember at least one person did. Yeah.
No, I had her at number one at one point, but it was a very loose, it was very shaky. We said as much. Like Tiffany's kind of defaulted here. I do think she played a very solid game, but I don't think I have a hard time saying she played a great game. Like she's like a B tier. She played a B tier game, Like she did her school report. She got an 8 out of 10. B minus. B minus is a great score.
Passing got me through high school.
Got me through everything, man. It's not just passing. Passing is like a C.
Yeah, so I'm a solid BC student over here.
Yeah, BC student.
No shame.
Yeah, I'm a solid D student. So
yeah, I got a D in like Spanish. You have that one D.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of like where I'm with Tiffany, where it's like I feel like she played a very solid game, but I feel like I want to overhype her because she got a lot of screen time, but that's also because she was on the Yanu tribe, who's always going to the screen time. I disagree with some small moments, and I think that alone, the lack of finesse, I think is a good word to describe what Tiffany was lacking.
Love that phrase, yeah.
With like handling Banu, right? And not ostracizing him like the way Kenzie did, but just kind of counting him out. Also the same thing with Jess, counting her out and counting Q out towards the end, thinking that everyone was going to vote him out. That was Tiffany's biggest downfall, and I think that's why she got voted out, especially with an idol in her pocket. And for that reason, I can't put her in great game.
Do we think that does she go above Tevin or below Tevin?
I'd go above because I think Tiffany still had the control. She was in the same spot Tevin was in on the Anu tribe, like being the anchor, because Tiffany had Q and Kenzie. Tevin had Hunter and Soda, right?
Hello says below.
Yeah, I can see why, but then I think Tiffany also just outlasted Tevin and Hunter, despite being labeled as a threat, and especially after Q blowing up her position earlier on with the idol. I don't know.
Do we see her returning?
Yes.
I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I do. I want her to return. I think she could be a 2-3 time Survivor New Era player. Hopefully this keeps going on well past, because you got to look at it. Side note, but you got to look at it. Jeff is going to come to an end one of these days. And I hope that Survivor keeps going on. And if they go with this New Era approach, new whole game approach, I could see Tiffany being, on one hand, I could see her being a 2-3 time player of the game. On the other hand, I could see her not coming back. I really could.
I could see it. And Jay, to answer your question, Shan 100% gets him over Tiffany, just because I think the Shan vote is one of the star moments of Survivor 41. The Tiffany blindside is, it was a big moment for sure. I'm not going to deny it. but it's not the biggest moment of Survivor 46. And I think there are just bigger characters in Survivor 46 over Tiffany. Meanwhile, Shan was far and away one of the biggest characters of 41.
If Shan comes back, though, I don't know.
Shan comes back.
I personally don't know if Shan would say yes to coming back.
And if she says no, then I could see Tiffany coming back.
And filling that space. And just for everyone out there, we're saying just because they played maybe a similar game. That's why we're saying it like that. Next up, Venus. I loved
Venus.
You
go first with Venus.
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I would put her in bad game. I'd put her low.
Oh, okay. This is where we're gonna disagree. And I'll hear you out, Will. I'll hear you out, and let us know in the comments. You might have to be the tiebreaker here between Will and I. I understand a lot of people want to say bad game. I understand it. I think Venus played a good game. I'm not going to overhype her as much as I love Venus. I'm not going to overhype her and say great game or anything like that. I think she played a good game on the wrong cast. I think she was put on the wrong cast. I really do believe that, especially the wrong tribe. I just think right off the get-go, her tribe was just not vibing with her. I think she could be put on another tribe and play the same way she did and be fine. I just don't think anybody wanted to work with her. You got to give her credit. No one wanted to work with her from the very beginning of the game. She was able to make it as far as she did. And then obviously, once again, she finds an idol, decides not to play it, and gets blindsided, which moves her down. But I do believe the moves that she was making, or the moves that she was making, I felt like was the right thing to do. But it's very hard to make those moves happen when you just have nobody trusting you. And for whatever reason, I'm sure someone's going to tell me in an exit interview, this is what they said and all that. For whatever reason, people just saw Venus and immediately said, no, I don't trust her. Without even like getting to know her, it was just, I don't trust her. She didn't even do anything. They hadn't have even gone to a tribal council, and she already had people saying, we don't trust her. And she didn't even do any votes or anything.
I'd get it if it was just a Nami thing and then she merged and then gets allies. But it's not just Nami that did not gel with Venus. It was Yanu and Siga. The only person we've seen with any connection to Venus was Kenzie late game.
Yeah,
and
late game they formed a relationship. Yeah,
it wasn't even like a hey, we trust each other. It's like hey, we're on the bottom, we need each other, and that's why we're working together. I think Venus, like you can use the argument where it's like if she was on another season, then she'd play a better game. But the fact that she wasn't aware and she wasn't able to have the social grace with the cast she had, it's like there's only so many times you can roll the dice and get a cast that fits you, because I can make that argument with anyone. Like I could say if Jess was on a cast on a very physically strong tribe who were able to win challenges and had someone that relates to Jess about her like social anxiety and ADHD, Jess can make it further. And so Jess is a good player? No, Jess is still a pretty rough player. No offense, Jess. I love you, Jess. But for that reason, it's like I can't say that Venus is a good player on the wrong tribe, because that's the whole point of the game, is being on a tribe of random people that you
and working with what you got. We got some people here in the chat. Hello, Venus. Bad game, because think about it. Had they went to tribal, she would have gone first. The only reason she made it to merge is because Hunter carried challenges and she got lucky. Also adds, any season she would be the person that lacks social grace the most and be targeted fast. And I love her. She needs time to grow. Jay adds in, but if just about everyone is saying she lacks social grace, Randy, then maybe she did some things wrong. And then Hello also adds in, you can't say Tiffany bad game alone for not playing an idol, but Venus good game. I get what you're saying.
My people. My stock watch crew.
I'm not happy with it, but I will move her to bad game. But I will not move her below Soda, because in that rivalry, I think Venus outplayed Soda.
100%. I think Venus is kind of the cusp of the bad game, because she still played an active game. It was wrong. Also, I always think about the Venus and Maria dynamic, because Maria is someone who is a lot more level-headed than a lot of the Namis, and we heard from Maria that Venus really rubbed her the wrong way in the episodes, So I don't think it's that Venus was on the wrong tribe. I just don't think she had the social grace needed for this cast.
She also was sometimes a little too blunt in tribal council, and not very well spoken. If she did make it onto that final tribal council, I don't know if she would have been well spoken enough to garner any votes at all. A lot of people were saying if she made it to the final tribal council, she would be kind of that third place 0 vote finalist. Last person before we move on, and Will, I'm very sorry. I know Q is the last person on your fantasy team. And you started off so hot in our fantasy competition and kind of died off. You still did better than last year, though.
Leagues better, bro.
Leagues better.
Oh, my God.
I still think you're probably safe. I don't know if Phil's going to catch you with Liz.
No.
Q. I think there were some high moments this year. There were some moves. There were some at times. Hold on. I'm just.
Okay. I'm bearing with you.
Bear with me. I'm going to move him. There were times that Q was by far the best player in the game, and it was kind of like an old-fashioned player. It was like, oh my gosh, here's a guy who actually came out here to play. Like, here's a guy who is playing like legends of the game. He's remember, Q is the one who brought up that 6-person alliance. Brilliant thinking from him. And there was at times when people were like, wow, Q is dominating this game. There were also times that Q was just terrible, absolutely awful. I think overall, you got to put Q in okay game above Hunter. Will, I'm interested to hear what you think. I think it's kind of between good and bad. And I think there's an argument to be made about where to place Q. Q has his haters. Q has his lovers. By the way, really quick, I'm sorry we forgot to do this for Venus. Do we see Venus coming back? I don't, and it kills me.
No, Venus is too inactive, or not inactive, org mentality.
Too active on social media.
Too active on social media, and too under-edited. Also, Vanilla, I like your comment, Venus and Banu in the same tier. They both played games.
Venus and Banu, yes. Say it.
Yeah. They both destroyed their games.
I agree. Oh, well, I thought you were going to take it.
Okay. So back to Q. It's hard because it's like we're talking about Q, the strategist, the game player, the kingmaker, right? If we're talking about just characters, Q is the winner. He's like top of the top, cream of the crop. I might be, over exaggerating, recency bias, be damned. I'd say he's one of the more compelling, one of the most entertaining characters of Survivor Modern Era. I think he is one of, if not the main character of 46.
He's guaranteed to come back. I'm telling everybody out there right now. Out of everybody, I know we've been saying who's going to come back, who's not going to come back. Q. I promise you Q is coming back.
Unless he doesn't want to return, which
I don't see happening.
Yeah.
I would seriously bet my house, my car, and everything on Q coming back in this game.
Hell yeah. I don't have a car. And Q had great moments too. It was so many ups and downs. I think trying to work with Banu and trying to strategize with him was a great idea. Q giving the idol to Jess instead of having a big game of charades. I get the move. I get the idea.
Right idea, wrong
execution.
Wrong way to, yeah, exactly.
Voting out Tiffany, and it was but then he also talked about quitting every other episode, And
was it a play? Was it not a play?
I don't know.
The other thing about Q is he's a very physical guy. Grew up an athlete. Yeah. A lot of people expected him to be a challenge beast, especially if you look at once Hunter left the game, who's going to beat you, Q? You're an all-around athlete. Was not good at challenges.
Yeah. So I don't fault Q entirely. I think athletes have a rough time on Survivor because they need more calories to have energy. that's also why we really saw Jonathan Young taper off towards the end of 42. It's also why I feel like it's not just athletic builds that go far. Like, look at Ozzy. He wasn't all muscle. He had the right amount of all the stats, if we're treating it like an RPG, to thrive. Q didn't. It's also the same with Danny in 41, right? Danny struggled a lot physically. He was not that good at the challenges despite being a NFL quarterback, right? Was he a quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know if he's a quarterback. No, he wasn't a quarterback.
No, he wasn't a quarterback. Yeah,
Danny was like a lineman or something.
He ex-NFL. Same thing. I don't know football that well. But yeah, no, like, you get my point. So I don't fault Q. I do fault Q with his work ethic and giving up and trying to pretend like it's a big strategy thing. I also think he just tried playing too hard, like with the hide and seek, and the big mistakes.
I mean, he's TV. I mean, Hello says right here, great TV, bad game. I definitely agree. He's for sure coming back for a just from an entertainment standpoint. Jay adds this about Venus, too much NDA breaking. Definitely. Let's see. Other comments here. By the way, the 4 Namis being on the jury so far, is that a record for the most people from an original tribe being on the jury? I don't know. I'd have to look that one up. I find it hard to believe that's a record.
I look at Survivor Pullout, where all but one person was on the jury.
Oh, yeah. I highly doubt that's a record. Jay, Q is an absolute lock for 50 from 46. I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
Jay adds in, Q tried to make Banu into his Philip, but ended up becoming Philip himself.
Oh, yeah. And that's, I don't know. I really wish we ranked these more on just like how much we enjoyed them, because the rankings would be so much more different. Venus would be so much higher. Q would be number 1. Banu would be lower. But sadly, we have to talk about Q's game, and it's just too neurotic.
It's a great word for it. I would love to see if he comes back and learns, because I think if he kind of calms himself a little bit at times, the pieces are there. Pieces are there. He had some really great moves. So, all right, Will, we've got down to the final 5. You see where we've put everyone so far. We're going to take a very, very quick ad break. When we come back, we are going to discuss the final 5. Yep. We're going to discuss who we think makes the final 3, and then we'll place the other 2 people. We will be right back.
My name is Jonah Fielko, and I'm the CEO of Bracketology.tv, fantasy sports for reality television. We offer fantasy games for shows like The Bachelor, Survivor, Big Brother, RuPaul's Drag Race, and counting. You start by creating a community. Within your community, you can create a fantasy league for each show that you want to play fantasy games for. Within the league, you can choose up to 3 of our 4 game types, and our most popular is the Advanced League. Choose a team of contestants, and depending on what they do and say during the episode, that's how your team will gain or lose points each week. We also have elimination-style games like our Confidence Pool. This is where you choose how confident you are that each contestant will survive elimination that week. And we've also got March Madness-style brackets. Come back a couple hours after the episode to check your scores and watch you climb the leaderboard. Bracketology is free to play, so grab your friends, your family, your coworkers, and head to bracketology.tv for more info.
All right, Will, we are down to the final 5, and you said it earlier, a crazy final 5 that nobody expected. A lot of the favorites, Tevin, Tiffany, Hunter, all went out. I mean, you could say Soda at one point, Q, all went out already. We are down to a final 5 of Liz, Ben, Kinsey, Charlie, Maria. And I listed them in that order because I think if you ask people who are the favorites to win, that's the order they would be ranked in. So, do you agree with that, Will? If you ask just the general public, rank the 5 remaining castaways.
Okay, general public, yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. In terms of the edit, in terms of what's reality and what's going to happen, it's pretty incorrect.
Should we go out of order? Should we start with the win? No, let's build up suspension.
Build up. Who do you think is going at the final 5? Who do you think is going next?
Maria.
Okay. I'm glad we agree.
I think Maria is going next, and I think you have to put Maria in great game.
No. I think she played a good game. I think she played a good game. I think Maria's a very smart player. However, she's losing steam, and I think this last episode was really bad for Maria.
And I agree. Now you're winning me over, because at first I'm like, Will, you're what? Yeah. That's the worst take I've ever heard. Oh, Jay adds in. Good game, not great game. I agree with Will. Yeah. I'll also add in, maybe I was getting too far ahead of myself and being like, well, someone's got to be in great game. Maybe someone doesn't have to be in great game. Maria, I know she's the favorite to win from all the fans' perspective, but I'll let you get back to it, Will. You were mentioning this last episode, and that's when you started to win me over, because I said in the recap episode with Abraham that we do immediately following the episode.
Yep. I
said that Maria had a very – were you laughing because of the plug? Yeah. Got to get a shameless plug. I said that Maria had a very, very poor episode.
Yep.
Especially because she knows Q has an idol. She has this plan to get Charlie out. You have to have Q to get Charlie out. You need that vote. You know Q has the idol. You have immunity. And – even if you're hearing names, you can't just go to Q and be like, don't play the idol. We definitely have Liz and Kinsey, which I don't know why she would feel that way. Mm-hmm. I feel like in that instance, you have to tell Q, play the idol just in case we don't have them. So we're good. You know, if you play it, I have you for the next vote. We can take a shot at Charlie next time. I thought right there that was a bad move. Maybe you have some other bad moves.
It's not even just like the moves itself. It's just she's losing a lot of steam, and I don't think she realized it, because by voting out Tiffany, I think Tiffany was a really good move for Q. I thought it was a really bad move for Maria, because Maria is a huge threat on the island, and I think a lot of people see it because she has Charlie still, and Charlie is seen as Maria's lapdog. For that reason, Maria is the more dominant one in that duo, and Ben, he's doing his best. Ben's a golden retriever, to Charlie's lapdog, and for that reason, it's like you need to keep the big threats in the game. And when you're looking at the board, Liz and Ben aren't really big threats, and Charlie is getting overshadowed by Maria. So where does that leave Maria and Kenzie? And I think Maria is seen as a more stronger player, and so I think she's going to be the next target. And because she didn't manage her threat level properly, I think it's just good game.
I am so sorry if I butcher your name here. I'm going to try my best. Benella says Maria will stay because she is the best at challenges. And then hello adds in. Someone tells me Maria has more fight in her and wins next immunity and becomes in the elite group of women that Jeff foreshadowed to, winning 4 immunities. Obviously, history's on the line here. Jay adds in, she's a challenge beast for sure, but if there's an advantage in the challenge and someone else finds it, she could be in trouble. Benella adds in, Maria thought she had Kinsey and Liz because Kinsey is playing an amazing social game and can make anyone trust her. I love that point. We're going to get back to that. That. A little foreshadowing potentially. But yeah, it seems like everyone agrees with you that good game. Like everyone wants to hype up. What do you mean good game? Like she's playing way better than everyone else. But maybe that just comes down to how weak gameplay has been this season. Like Maria has been a good game, but she hasn't really had the best game players to go up against, and she has made some wrong moves here and there in terms of where she's at now. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Will and I are definitely betting that if she does not win the next immunity challenge, she's going home.
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't win it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. That's why I'm very careful with like calling someone a good player and an active player, because I think playing an active game is not the same as playing a good game. I think Maria is playing a very active game. She's always in the conversation. She's always making moves, but sometimes less is more, and people don't really realize that on Survivor. And I think if Maria did a little less, I think she'd be in a better spot right now.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
No, you definitely convinced me. Will, who do you think is going out at fire? Let's see if we agree with this. Oh wait, so Jay does have a question. So if Maria wins immunity at 5, Charlie goes. I don't think so. I think if Maria wins immunity, I don't think she has the numbers to get Charlie out unless she can convince people. I almost feel like if Maria wins, I think at that moment, I want to say Liz would go.
Yeah, Liz, and then maybe Kenzie, which is crazy to say, but even then, I'm thinking Liz, and that's a good segue into who I think is the fire-making loser.
I agree.
Do you know the crackpot? Do you know what me and Jack were talking about last week on Stockwatch?
Remind me, because I kind of came in and out of Stockwatch last week.
That's fair. We said Ben might win the challenge and take Kenzie to the final 3.
Oh my! I could see that,
Dude. You
especially with
yep. And I think Liz loses final fire making. I think the final 3 is going to be Kenzie, Charlie, and Ben.
I agree. Before we get to them, where do we see Liz?
Did you put it below Soda and Venus?
Yes. Even though she made it way farther in the game, which I know we were talking about that earlier. Yes, I have her below Venus and Soda. Like, I just feel like a little bit too much emotion from, I hate saying that. It sounds like an asshole thing to say, but I think a little bit too much emotion from Liz. I think at times it wasn't her fault. I feel like she had moves that she wanted to make, just didn't have the people to go with her. Yeah. But I think her game has been a little stagnant at times, and I just think she was kind of there.
Yeah. So my thing with Liz, I was going to put her at no game, but the Tevin vote happened. The Soda, like, she had a really good stretch of episodes with Soda through like Hunter going, where she like started playing the game more. We saw her making conversations, but then that part of her immediately died off, and she just became, hungry for Applebee's, which does suck because I wish we saw more of Liz, because in that 3 episode stretch, Liz was on fire. Everyone was hyping up Liz. Everyone's like, yeah, Liz is the winner, mainly as a joke.
I said it at one point. I said, could Liz end up winning this?
Like, everyone, like, there's still the joke, and then the Applebee's meltdown happened. Everyone's like, all right, that's enough of Liz, which it does suck. But in terms of game, I don't really see Liz playing that good of a game. It's just weird having her at like the 5th worst player, 5th worst game.
It's weird, but is it true?
It is 100%. Just because she showed that she didn't really care. She didn't play an active game,
Maria and Liz, either one of them come back.
Maria definitely. Honestly, of all the mom archetypes, I want Maria back the most.
I do agree. Out of all the mom archetypes that we've been getting, you could look at Julie, you could look at Lindsay, you could look at Heather. Out of all the mom archetypes, I agree. I wouldn't say guarantee. I think they bring her back if Charlie comes back. I think they would want that dynamic of like that modern day Malcolm and Maurice. Yeah. See them play again. I know that's shitty to say. I know it shouldn't be dependent on Charlie, but I do feel like if Charlie comes back and they're looking for a mom archetype, let's bring back Maria. If it's a full returnee season, Liz, no chance. Do not see Liz coming back.
Liz is not coming back. Not much I have to say. The only issue with a lot of these people is that I try to be very safe from recency bias. That's why I never rank any seasons that high. I honestly had 45 pretty low until like this podcast, until going back to 45 and like really thinking about the season over. Like when it was airing, I had it below, I think 44 and 43 or 42, wherever.
Yeah.
I'm very careful about recency bias. And so I don't want to say that like Maria, Tiffany, Q are all coming back. I do see Maria in the upper echelon, though. I do see her being one of the first people from 46 they called back, but not overall.
Well, I love that you're cautious about that because I can't remember the exact number, but the record for amount of people to come back from one season is 5. Can't remember the exact season.
It's either Cagayan or Australian Outback.
Yeah, that's the record. And then most other seasons, you might have 2 or 3 people come back to play the game again. So I wrote an article. Go check out the article, survivornowpodcast.com, when 44 aired, because a lot of people, and little tangent before we get into announcing our winner, I know all of you guys are ready to hear that.
Yep.
Back on 44, everyone was like, oh my gosh, who's all coming back? Caroline's got to come back. Carson's got to come back. Jam's got to come back. This person's got to come back. This person's got to come back. That doesn't happen. It's the record is 5. In most seasons, you only get 2 or 3 people. So you look at this cast, we've said Q's guaranteed the return. Tevin could probably come back. Tiffany could come back. Hunter maybe. Maria maybe. I'm sure we're going to say the same for a few people in this final 3. We're naming 6 or 7 people to come back. That doesn't happen. Realistically, we're probably only going to get 2 or 3 people from this season. I can tell you one of those people is going to be Q. If he wants to come back, it's for sure going to be Q. So now you're looking at 1 or maybe 2 people outside of Q.
Going back to 44, I think the only person on lock to get called back for is Carolyn.
And that's if she changed her mind, because I spoke with Carolyn in New York and she said she had no interest in ever playing again because of social media and all that stuff.
That's fair. I actually played an online Survivor with Carolyn, so shout out to me. I was in an alliance with her, Randy.
Woo-woo! She's an amazing person.
She is. Fun story about her. She complimented my acne, I think, which tracks with Carolyn.
That's track with Carolyn.
I remember that interaction because I was like, well, who is this? This was years ago. Australian Outback has the most returning players. 50% of its cast returned.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where we're at with that. I don't see it happening though with New Era Survivor. Because I think one of the biggest criticisms is that sometimes seasons kind of run together. Like 41, 42, people talk about like kind of being the same, like very samey.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're going to ever get like half of 42 back. They're going to get 1 person, I think. Maybe 2.
I think they also fell in love with like new players. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if we're going to have Survivor ever again where we have returning player seasons every like 4 or 5 years. I could see season 50 being returnees, and then I could see them not doing returnees again until season 60 and doing 10 more years of new players. They're very big on like getting new players. A few comments. Applebee's part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Let's see. Hello, Adin. I hate when winners come back. Jay asked, wow, really, Randy? How recently did she say that? She said that at the season 44 finale party. So it's been a minute. But there's been some other stuff that has happened on social media. I don't see her coming back, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, final 3. So let's start with Ben, because I think we both agree, Will, that Ben is going to be the 0 vote finalist.
Yep.
Great social game, but not much other than that.
Yeah, so Ben's weird because I think Ben played a pretty okay game. It was just really passive. And I think he's really struggling now with like not eating, the panic attacks. I think the game is getting to him because it's a different Ben than what we saw in Sega. Sega Ben actually had some pretty solid moves, solid lies.
Great social player. Everybody loves him. Like that's one thing he has going for him. Yeah.
And like I think about the lie during the journey where he said, I don't know if I have my vote yet. I won't know until tribal.
Ooh, good call out.
That was, I think, a really cool lie. And that clued me in. Like Ben could be playing a more active game than we'd give him credit for. And then he kind of tapered off. but none of it was ever bad, except for like voting for Kenzie randomly. But even then, it's not.
That was bad.
It's okay. It's bad, but then he didn't get in trouble for it. Like, it's at a point now where I don't think no matter what he does, it's going to be the same result of him being a losing finalist. So I don't think he's ever making bad moves. It's just too passive.
And I don't think, I know we're going to get into maybe what leads to our winner. I don't think he beats Liz at Fire. I think the person who finishes second, by the way, Will and I have the same winner. You know who the winner, our winner pick will be if you watch Stock Watch and if you've heard me on the recap. But I see the second place finisher beating Liz at Fire, and I still don't think it's going to be enough for them to win.
Yep.
And I see Ben being taken to the finale and being that 0 vote finalist. I just don't think there's enough juice there. Where do we put Ben? Also, I don't think Ben's going to come back. I don't think we're going to see Ben again, honestly. I think he played worse than Jim. I do. No. Worse is weird. He still played a good game. You think he played better than Jim? He did make it a lot farther.
I think Ben fit in more, and I think that alone is better. I think Jem, I wouldn't go above Hunter. Actually, I don't know. Around there. I think
we'll give him credit because he's probably making the final three based on our predictions. So we'll give him credit.
I think Jem just played too hard. Ben played too little, but I feel like it's safer to play too little than too hard. Because if you play too little, then you make it to the final three as a GOAT. If you play too hard, you get voted out.
And we've seen in these final three, there's always that person who gets 0 votes. Someone has to do it. And I think we both agree that person is going to be Ben this season. Will, who is finishing second this season?
The runner-up for Survivor 46 is Charlie Swift. GG's. I might put him in great, depending on if he gets the move on Maria. If he votes out Maria, I'd move him up to a great game. If.
Okay, let's go with he does, because we're making our predictions here, and we think Maria's going next, which would be Charlie's move, essentially. I have problems putting him in great game and not Maria because they've been working in tangent all season. I get what you're saying. It's who got the move on the other first. So I'll go with it. But continue on, Charlie. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah. So we say this on Stockwatch too, where it's like we talked about the Denise Malcolm comparison. And obviously you're going to think of like the gender archetypes. So you're going to call Charlie Malcolm and then Maria Denise. Me and Jack thought that it was kind of flipped. I see Charlie more as Denise, and I see Maria more as Malcolm, because I think Malcolm, again, I think he played more actively in Philippines, and I think Maria was more active. But that doesn't make it better or worse, right? It's just she played harder. And I think Charlie kind of letting Maria take the fall numerous times. To me, Charlie was always ahead of Maria. Maybe not in terms of the dynamic, like his personal stock on the island, where he was called the lapdog. But even then, it's like when you vote out Maria, it's like, was it Charlie being oblivious, or was it Charlie having a shield? So, assuming that he votes out Maria, I think he played a great game, and I think he played one of the best games of 46. I just think he was really boring as an edit because he did not get a lot of personal content.
Well, I was just about to say, does he come back? Is he guaranteed to come back? Because I was also going to add in, I don't think he's that entertaining player that it's like you have to be brought back in this game.
Yeah, I could see it just because the longevity. I just think he's also just younger. No, he's 26. Never mind. Okay, he's old.
I can vouch for that. I'm 26 and I'm old.
Yeah, you're 20. Yeah, you're old. Yeah, you're both extremely.
I have gray hairs.
I know. I could see it on your chin.
Hello, ads. Charlie, good or great? We can't really know until the end.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd say he should be in great game regardless. He has had really good reads. And then, what if Charlie finds an idol and doesn't play it or plays it for someone else? Still great game?
No, then I'd put him at.
Then he goes down. Yeah.
I think if that, then I'd put him at the bottom of good game. I'd still put him at good game, just with a catastrophic failure, and then he'd like be the bottom tier of good game, like how Q is kind of like the upper echelon of okay game, where it's like if you do better than Q, then you played a good game. But yeah, but I just don't see Charlie making a catastrophic mistake unless for whatever reason he brings Maria to the final 3 because he wants the journey. But even then, I wouldn't say that's a terrible move, because it's not that he didn't understand the risks. It's that he just wanted that ending knowing the risks.
And we haven't even brought up the fact that I think he's beating Liz at fire. And how I think this is going to play out, this is going to sound crazy because she has been out of every challenge. I understand. So this is a hot take. This is, hold on. Do I have it here?
He played.
I did a little crackpot theory. Jack would be so proud of me. Everyone who hasn't seen Stockwatch is going to be so confused. That's my crackpot theory. Will is Kenzie is winning the final immunity challenge. Someone who has not looked great in challenges. I think she wins. I think she takes Ben because that is a game move. I think I could see her taking Liz. I could see it, but I think she takes Ben. Just everything he's been through. I think she thinks he can beat him. They have a good relationship, but she can still beat him. And I think she sends Charlie and Liz to fire. And I think Charlie beats Liz. I still don't think that is enough, however, to defeat Kenzie in the final tribal council. And this is why. I think we're set up for a petty jury. So you have on the jury, essentially you would have Maria, Liz, Tiffany, Tevin, Q, Hunter. Am I missing anyone? And Soda.
Yeah.
That would be essentially your jury. Yes, there's some really chill people on there, but I think there's also going to be some pettiness. And I think this could come down to who's the most likable. And as much as I'm saying it now, people are going to be like, that's crazy. Charlie is extremely likable. I agree. But I think Kenzie has made less moves against people, and Charlie could be looked at as you rode Maria's coattails this game. It could be looked at.
So I get what you're saying. I don't think it's necessarily a bitter jury, because I think that does a bit of disservice to Kenzie's game. I think Kenzie's playing a fantastic social game. I think what's going to happen, what's going to set Kenzie apart, is I think at the final 3, Charlie is going to give a whole spiel about his strategy. Charlie's very strategy oriented. Charlie's going to be like, I made these moves, and I think people will respect that. I think Ben is going to take the opposite approach. He's going to take the personal approach. He's going to talk about his journey, what everyone, what it meant to him, the times he had. And I think people will still respect that. Obviously not enough to vote for him to win. But I think Kenzie has the perfect combination of both. I think she has the journey. I think she has the articulation. But I think she has the strategy. And she has it all. She has the makings to be a fantastic winner. Being able to befriend Venus, who is a social outcast on the Nami tribe, constantly being there for Ben while Ben's not going to be on the jury, I think that is still a fantastic look for Kenzie. Where I feel like someone like Soda would appreciate that, hearing that, Kenzie was able to set aside, what happened in the game for Ben to be there for him.
And here's the deal too. Let's say it comes down to voting Charlie or Kenzie. It's very hard to beat someone when I think they have a guaranteed 3 votes on the jury.
Yeah.
Granted, as long as they don't really mess up their speech and they just give a baseline good speech. I think Tiffany would definitely vote for Kenzie.
Yep.
I think Venus would for sure vote for Kenzie.
Yep.
And I think Hunter said that him and Kenzie were really close at one point. I think Hunter would vote Kenzie. There's 3 votes right there. And I honestly want to say that I could see Q voting for Kenzie too.
I see. That's the thing is like I don't want to say Q. I think Q would vote for Charlie, honestly.
Because if you're looking at it, I'll do my fingers, assuming no one's voting for Ben. So I'm gonna have Charlie over here, Kenzie over here.
Remind me of me.
So,
watching these votes.
Maria
votes for Kenzie, or no? Maria votes for Charlie.
For Charlie, yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany
votes for Kenzie. Easy.
Tevin.
I think Kenzie.
Q.
I think Charlie.
Hunter.
Kenzie.
Venus.
Kenzie.
Soda.
Kenzie.
Liz.
That's hard. Probably. I don't know. Maybe Kenzie. I think it gets to a point where like she's just jumping on the bandwagon.
That'd be 6-2 if you look at it in that sense.
Because I feel like Q and Liz I think are just two big like wild cards. They can go either way, but I still feel confident Kenzie's the winner, no matter what.
Yeah, I think she's played. And let me see if I can get this vote back up. Hold on. Or not vote. You get what I'm saying. Hold on.
I know what you're saying.
Where's it at? Oh, here it is, right here.
There we go.
Vanilla. Maria thought she had Kenzie and Liz because Kenzie is playing an amazing social game and can make anyone trust her. That's why I could see. Let me just tell everyone watching. There are going to be a lot of casual fans who are not happy with the Kenzie win. And I'll tell you why. If you look at the edit, and Will might disagree here. Will, you know more about the edit than I do. It's literally the show that you and Jack do. You look into Edgic and all of this stuff.
I got my notes still right here, actually.
If I'm speaking for the casual fan who just watches the bare minimum of Survivor, and, you know, they don't know the ins and outs. They don't study it and look past the edit like we do. You get who I'm talking about. The very casual fan.
Yeah.
They're already looking at it. Maria should win this season. If it's not Maria, then Charlie should win this season. Kenzie hasn't got that edit that shows a bunch of big moves. And yes, Kenzie hasn't had the giant moves that we talk about. But this goes back to season 41 where I don't understand really the hate for Erica. Well, I understand the fact she didn't get a lot of screen time. Obviously, everyone hated the Hourglass. But Erica played a great social game. And she was my winner pick at that time. We didn't have a team of 9 people. I was running our social media. We weren't posting everybody's winner picks and stuff. It was whoever Randy thought was going to win was our winner pick going into the finale. Yep. And before the finale, I posted Erica as my winner pick. I can't remember exactly the final 5, but I know Xander was looked at as someone who could win.
Deshaun, I think, was the Edgic community's winner pick.
The favorite for the Edgic. Okay. Yeah. See, like, Erica was not the favorite, but I still said I think Erica is winning this game. It wasn't a lucky guess. I don't just say that. Let me pull a name out of the hat. This is me looking at the season. I try to look past the Edgic. And if you really look into that season, Erica played a really good social game. And sometimes a social game, specifically when it's coming from a female, unfortunately, is under-edited. And I feel like this would be sort of an under-edited win for Kenzie, because I know going into the finale that Maria and Charlie are the favorites to win just because of the moves. We've seen so much of them. But Kenzie, I'm telling you guys, has played an outstanding social game. She doesn't have the incredible moves, but she's played a really good social game. She's really likable. She's a speaker. I'm not. She's a good speaker. And I think when it comes down to it, someone said it that they see Kenzie winning. I believe it was Jay. Yeah, I think it'll be a 5-3 vote with Kenzie winning, which would be our second straight female winner. Will, before we get on to if Kenzie wins, where this would put her in terms of new era winners, what do you think? Like, what do you think about kind of the under-edited notion of Kenzie and how women are edited on this show?
I'm glad you came to me with this one, because as we know, I'm the voice for no. Yeah, no, it's always a problem that I think everyone always goes to Survivor for. However, I think at this point, fans kind of know the deal. Um, I think you are honestly overestimating Charlie a little bit as well, because Charlie, I think, has the strategy and the screen time, but I don't know anything about Charlie. I don't
He
know.
loves Taylor Swift.
He loves Taylor Swift. I don't know a single emotion from Charlie. Charlie has been the same throughout the entire season, and I think the fans see it. I think Maria obviously is the fan favorite right now. I think the other one is Kenzie though, because I think the fans kind of expect, she's getting a little under-edited, but it's also better than Maria and Liz, you know. And so when you're looking at it like that, Ben's also under-edited, and Charlie gets no personal content. It kind of leaves Kenzie, you know.
Yeah, we got some comments here. Jay adds in Survivor Facebook and Reddit will be pissed when Charlie loses. Hold on, let me get back up here. Benella adds in Queen Kenzie for the win. I agree. Hello, Kenzie is a mermaid dragon for a reason. Also adds in Kenzie is fan favorite for sure. If she doesn't win, Sia money, here you come. And then I do agree with that. And then Hello adds in Charlie is boring and would be like Tommy winning from season 39. Maria is controversial, but I like her and she deserves to win too. Liz could Gabler this and so could Ben. I think I don't see either Liz or Ben winning, but I mean, you never know going into the finale. And I just remind everyone, whoever comes out of this, give them their flowers. It's really hard to make it to the final three and to convince 7 people to vote for you. So give them their flowers, whoever ends up winning. So Kenzie is our winner pick. Where would this rank her? And I don't want to get too far ahead, but I do want to put it out there. If Kenzie goes on to win this after the season that she's had, where would this rank her in terms of new era winners?
I would honestly create a new tier for Kenzie. I'd put her below Jam Jam and D.
Interesting. I would not put her below Jam Jam. I put her below D for sure. I still think D's the best new era winner, but I wouldn't. I think her and Jam Jam are right there for me.
I think Jam Jam had a lot of control. I think the Tika 3 dominated.
They did. You make a good point.
The Yanu 3 did not dominate.
No.
And I think Kenzie had a lot of cracks in her game, none of which being really her fault. But her game isn't as polished as I thought Jam Jam's or D's was.
Okay.
No, I don't want to put her at the same rank as Erica, who I think played an under-the-radar game. It's too hard for me to tell you about Erica's game because we didn't see much about it. Marianne, I think, played a solid game, but I think it's just solid. Gabler, you know
how I feel about Marianne.
And Gabler, he did his best. The only winner I think I've talked to on these podcasts, by the way.
Yeah, so he's a great dude. We're a huge fan of Gabler. Yeah.
Fan of Gabler. But it's like with Q, like I love Q, but his game was just okay. I love Gabler. His winning game was not that strong, and so I'd put her in the in between, above average, but that's about it.
Let me pull this up. While I'm pulling this up, I will go ahead and show you guys. This is our final ranking. So we think the final 3 is going to be Kenzie, Charlie, and Ben. Excuse me. I can't remember, Will. Did you agree with me that you thought Charlie was going to beat Liz at Fire, or did you have someone else?
Yes. No, that was the whole thing. So my prediction was always Maria. I thought Ben could win the Fire Making Challenge. I could also see Kenzie, one of those two winning, taking the other. Charlie and Liz, final 2, or Fire Making, Charlie winning, going to the final Tribal Council, getting like 2 votes, and that's it.
I will say these are, if I can, there we go. The new era winner so far, if it focuses.
Oh, it's there.
So Kenzie would be the 4th female winner out of the 6th season so far, which is kind of crazy if it ends up playing out. I mean, you look at, we're going to have a female winner unless Charlie or Ben ends up winning this.
Yeah, but Ben, I kind of wrote off a long time ago.
Yeah, so very, very unfortunate for Ben. So that was our rankings. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Will, I mean, before I give kind of the housekeeping stuff about what we have coming up this week, do you have anything else to say about this season? Obviously, it's going to be a very, very exciting finale week.
My only thing I'll say, don't let hype for Survivor 50 get in the way of appreciating the seasons we're getting right now. Obviously, it's okay to be excited, but don't just focus on that, because Survivor is still happening, still very exciting, and I think we're due for a very, very clean end for Kenzie and her win.
And I think the new era is just getting better. I was one of the top people at shitting on the new era when it started. 42 is better than 41, in my opinion. 43 was better than 42. 44 went up. 45 went up. 46 has been messy, but it's still been a great season. You know, all in all, a lot of things that we complained about as fans, a lot of times I said up here, or other people will say that Jeff Probst actually isn't listening to us. But all in all, I got to give the man his props this season, because the thing that people hated about the early seasons of the new era, too many advantages. Way too many. Remember those days of where like we can't keep up with the advantages because there's like 9 different extra votes and stuff going around?
Yeah.
How many advantages did we have this season?
No, like I've been telling you, Randy. I've been texting you in the group chat. Survivor New Era is pretty good. It's not.
I would still prefer them to go to 39 days, but it's not happening. Jeff Probst just came out and said 26 is here to stay. But yeah, I mean, I'll give him his props. It's been really entertaining.
I would want 39 days too, but I also don't really feel the difference between 26 days and 39 days. I know Eliza likes to go on and say, oh, you know, on this day in Vanuatu, you know, Brady got voted out.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, it sucks. Obviously, everyone would prefer if we can live, you know, in the golden ages of Survivor. Everyone wants that, myself included. But we also have to know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to chase it, let's just appreciate what Survivor is now.
I appreciate that. And I will say there has been growth, because I went from someone who, you know, well, there's a lot that I thought needed to be worked on. Off the top of my head, there's only 2 things. I wish that 39 days were back. I can live without it. It's fine. And the other thing is, I wish that we would get more dynamic challenges, which I feel like some of the challenges, like that dolphin puzzle, was really cool. I just wish we got more dynamic, kind of like what it used to be, where, you know, especially when you answer questions about people and then you get to cut their tiki or whatever until it burns.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. More unique challenges than just obstacle courses that end with a puzzle or a maze. But like, you know, you live with it. You live with what Survivor is. That's what Will is saying. And it's been a fun season, and you can't ask for anything less than that. So it is a very, very, very busy finale week. Obviously a busy time for us here at Survivor Now. Right now, the schedule is sort of fluid. We're still working out some stuff because of everything that's going on this week. I was supposed to be in New York. I will not be in New York.
All right.
But Will, I'm going to might talk to you afterwards about maybe hopping on the pre-show with me. But we will have a massive hour-long pre-show on Wednesday. Right now, it's slated for 3 p.m. That time is definitely subject to change based off what works out. But it will be an hour-long pre-show where we basically talk about what we expect from the finale. We'll go more in detail about how we expect it to play out. We will also we'll call up all the people in New York for the Bryson Wynn Presents finale, which is Kara, which is Tegwood, which is Matthew, which is Abraham. We will call them up. You never know if we're going to have some Survivor guests on the call as well. So it's definitely going to be a fun pre-show event that you do not want to miss. That is the thing as well. All these people for Survivor Now are in New York. So if you are going to the Bryson Wynn Presents event, make sure to stop and say hi to Abraham, Kara, Tegwith, or Matthew. They'll be at the
Jack. Is Jack going? Do you know?
Oh, Jack is going. Thank you.
Stock Watch getting representation.
No, I knew I was forgetting someone. Thank you, Will. Jack will be there as well. We'll call up Jack for the pre-show as well, see what he's up to in the Big Apple. So make sure to say hi to Jack too. I know they're all going to try to get a group picture together, so we'll have a new Survivor Now group pic going forward. Will, we got to get you out to one of these events, man.
If there's one that's all ages, I'm 19 now. All right, if we can do 2 more years of Stockwatch.
Like Stockwatch has been booming. Like, definitely down for that. But yeah, so we're gonna figure all that out. I can tell you right now for a fact there will be no recap show the night of the finale. The finale after the after show and everything ends at 11 p.m. People, there will be no after show. So enjoy your evening with the family. Go to bed. Do whatever you want to do. We will be back later in the week with a recap show. I believe Survivor Social is still planned for Thursday night, but that is also subject to change because I know Ben is having a concert and Tegwith might be going to that concert. So Kara might be going as well. Basically, everything is subject to change. So make sure to follow us on our Instagram at survivornowpodcast.com, at Survivor Now Podcast. And then also go to survivornowpodcast.com throughout the week. As soon as we schedule the live streams, we will put them and the times that they're airing on YouTube and survivornowpodcast.com. So follow, like, subscribe, all of that stuff so you can stay in tune with when these live streams are airing, when your favorite analysts and favorite shows are going to be on the website and YouTube. Will, anything else to say before we log off here?
This is an open letter to Ben Katzman. Let Saving Bruce open for your band. Please.
Yes. Please. Yeah, dude, that would be lit. That would be so lit, honestly.
That'd be crazy.
Also, we've got Jay. I'm going to leave it with this. Agreed. Can't wait for the 47. We might talk about what to expect with that as well on the pre-show. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will catch you guys later this week to talk the Survivor 46